Good morning everyone. Hope you all are doing great. Okay, so today we are just going to start a very important topic of the class ninth, that is atoms and molecule. So let's start this topic, atom and molecule. Okay, so before starting this chapter, let's have a quick recap of the previous chapters. That is, for example, so see, that is before atom and molecule we had already discussed the physical classification of the matter as well as chemical classification of the matter. We all know that according to the physical classification of a matter, matters are basically classified into three, that is solid, liquid and gas. And under the chemical classification of the matter, we are having the elements, compound and mixture, right? So these are the chemical classification of the matter and these are the physical classification of the matter. Okay, now talking about compound, we all know that compound is also called as what? Compound is also called as chemical compound. Compound is also called as chemical compound, which is formed by the combination of different elements, right? Which is formed by the combination of the different element. But the major concern in the front of the scientist is that how these different elements are combined to form the compound, right? So various research were taken place. After a vast research, the scientists came up into the conclusion that the basis of the combination of these elements are governed by the certain laws, and these laws are called as law of chemical combination. Law of chemical combination. Okay. Now law of chemical combinations are further classified into two. The first one is law of conservation of mass and the second one is law of constant proportion. However, it is also called as law of definite proportion as well, right? So one by one, let us brief this one. Now the first one is law of a conservation of a mass. Law of a conservation of mass was given by Antony Lavoisier, who is also known as the father of the chemistry. Now let us discuss, according to the law of a conservation of mass, according to the law of conservation of a mass, what it says, see, the total mass of the product that are formed during the chemical reaction must be equal to the total mass of the reactant that have combined, right? For example, suppose we are having H2 plus O2, this will give you H2O. Okay, so whatever the mass, what amount of H2O is produced after the chemical combination of H2 plus O2, right? This must be equal. For example, if I am taking 8 gram of oxygen and 8 gram of hydrogen and 9 gram of oxygen, then it is damn sure that the product of this reaction, that is H2O, must be of 17 gram, right? So that is why this law of conservation of mass is also called as law of conservation of a mass. Okay, because the total mass of the reactant, the total mass of reactant is also equal to mass of product. Okay, the total mass of reactant is equal to the total mass of the product. Whatever the mass of the reactant we are having, it must be equal to the mass of the product. Okay. This laws states the law of a conservation of a mass. We all know that according to the law of a conservation of mass, mass can neither be created nor be destroyed. That means mass is a conserved quantity. Okay, and this can be explained over here as well. We had already discussed the total mass of the reactant is equal to the total mass of the product. Okay, let us take another example in order to have a better explanation. For example, let me take barium chloride. Barium chloride that react with the sodium sulfate Na2SO4, right? Suppose we are taking 10 gram of a barium chloride and Na2SO4 of 11.5 gram. Okay, and we are getting the different product over here. We are getting BaSO4 barium sulfate plus NaCl. Okay, suppose 10 plus 11.5, how much it will be? 21.5. So the sum of the total mass of the product must be 21.5. Let it be, we have maybe it possible that its value will be 15 gram. NaCl is 15 gram is produced over here. So what will be the mass of the barium sulfate? You can calculate it, because the total mass of the reactant, total mass of reactant क्या होगा? What will be over here? 10 plus 11.5, that is 21.5 gram. So total mass of product, this must be equal to the 11.5 gram. We don't know the mass of a BaSO4, so let it be x gram. So what will be happen? X plus 15, and x plus 15 must be equal to how much? 21.5. Yes or no? According to the law of a conservation of mass. So you will calculate x is equals to 6.5 gram. So 6.5 gram of barium sulfate is produced. Okay, so this is all about the law of a conservation of mass. Now coming to the law of constant proportion. Now according to the law of a constant proportion, what it says, for a pure chemical compound, please repeat, please listen me very carefully what I'm saying. For a pure chemical compound, for a pure chemical compound, it always consists of the same element. It always consists of the same element that are combined in a fixed proportion by their mass. Okay, what does it mean? Suppose if you are talking about water, right? So irrespective of the sources from where we get the water, we can get the water from the tap water, sea water, river water, lake water, whatever the sources may be of the water, it always contain, if you're talking about water H2O, it always contain 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen, and they are combined by fixed proportion by their mass. That means atomic mass of hydrogen is 1, okay, and the number of atoms of hydrogen is 2, so it should be multiplied by 2. Ratio, what is the atomic mass of oxygen? Atomic mass of oxygen is 16, so put it over here. So 2:16, that is 1:8. So the water you can take from any sources, lake, river, sea water, it always consists of the same element, that is 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atoms of oxygen, and they are combined by the fixed proportion by their mass, that is 1:8. Let us take another example of CO2, carbon dioxide, CO2. If you are talking about CO2, it consists of 1 atom of carbon and 2 atom of oxygen. 1 atom of carbon and 2 atom of oxygen, irrespective of the sources. Carbon dioxide is also evolved from the chimneys of the factories, right? Carbon dioxide is also evolved from the air that we breathe out, that is oxygen, that is carbon dioxide is a breathing out, and carbon dioxide is also evolved, is also produced by the plants during the process of photosynthesis. So in all these sources we are having 1 atom of carbon and 2 atom of oxygen. Talking about their masses, see, Carbon is having the atomic mass of 12 and oxygen is having the masses of 16 gram, 16, but it's a two atoms are there, so 16 into 2 to 12 is to 32. It should be simpler. The 3 4s are 12 and 4 8s are 32, so 3:8. So whatever the sources of carbon dioxide you are having, carbon dioxide released from the vehicles, carbon dioxide released from the chimneys, carbon dioxide we exhale out, all consist of one atom of carbon and two atom of oxygen, and they are combined by the fixed proportion by their mass, that is 3:8. So this is all about for today. Thank you so much.